For somebody like really wanting to get to the level you're at, like hearing a 5,000 person agency building a massive empire, what would your advice be to them?
Be careful what you wish for. I'll say that first. Now, I almost failed out of the industry completely my first year and a half. Like, I gave up a bunch of stuff I truly enjoy to make some sort of success.
When I was just getting into business, you're led by your emotions, but how do you
Yeah.
dissociate that from the outcome?
Is by literally asking yourself, am I being emotional? Am I reacting off of my emotion? Think about the last time you did that, what happened?
What's kind of your mindset in terms of investing in your business and yourself? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, the Life Insurance Telesales Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Nitafan, and in today's interview and podcast, we have an absolute monster. We got Waylon Artrip. It's Waylon Artrip, right? Artip?
Yeah, you
Artip?
got it right. Our
There
trip,
we
yep.
go. Love it, dude. Well, man, thanks so much for coming on here and taking a few minutes to be able to chat with us, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on, Johnny. I appreciate it.
Course, man. So, dude, let's get right into it. So so what are you guys at now? Like, so obviously we were talking a little bit. You're at 5,000 writing agents. I mean, what do you guys like? You guys are doing everything, it sounds like.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So, I've been doing this for like 10 years, started as an individual producer for the first probably half of that, a little under half of that, and then have grown since then. But now we're doing, everything on the health side, ACA, under 65, Medicare, and pretty much everything on the life side as well. Final, all the different niches, final expense, mortgage protection, all those different things. So we've done, we're doing a little bit of everything, and we're trying to do it at a high level and keep it as lean as possible with the right, fit and right kind of people for what we're doing. So
For
it's
sure,
been,
man.
it's been
Yeah, it's
a blessing.
it's a lot, bro. And 5,000, it starts with one, dude. Talk us through like how old are you now, by the way?
28, 28.
28. So you got licensed at 18?
Yeah, I was just 18 turning 19, and my first almost 2 years, I only had a health license. I didn't even have my life license. So started in the health space at a company at a 30% commission, 2 year vesting window, and no leads. So we had to canvass neighborhoods and cold door knock pretty much 24/7 to be able to generate business. So there was no, you know, opportunities or anything like that to purchase leads or get leads. So it was a great learning experience, and that was kind of my deep dive into the industry to get started.
So when did you like how did you even get into the insurance space?
Yeah, so I was in school, in the library, which I didn't frequent very much. Saw a girl, talked to her, went to her house a bunch, ate a bunch of her food, and her stepdad was like, "Hey, man, get your insurance license." So I did, and yeah, the rest was history. It was just an ex-girlfriend stepdad.
There you go. So you get in the industry, man, and you start in health insurance. So did you start just producing at the time or did you start building at that time?
Yeah, no, 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 no. I was a producer. I was just trying to, I was on Medicaid when I started in insurance. So, any of you people out there that know what that is, just for broke people like me back in the day. So, I've been on that my entire life. So I was just trying to make a little bit of money, learn how to sell, learn the ins and outs. And even after, I mean, I almost failed out of the industry completely my first year and a half at that original company. I then went and got my life license, went independent. I was looking up, I literally paid my bill because I lived on my own. I paid my bill selling fire sticks out of my apartment in the east side
That's
of
wild.
Columbus. Yeah, so that's how I was basically making ends meet at that point. So, it was nice to learn about life insurance a little bit. I did a lot of research on literally I would look up on Google like how do I make fast money in insurance? What's the quickest way to make money in insurance legitimately? Well, it's final expense. So at least it was then, 2016, 17, whatever it was. Got my life license, shopped around IMO to IMO, found one that fit what I wanted. I just wanted good contracts, a lead program, and just, hey, get out of my way. Found that was a blessing, did really well my first 2 or 3 years just producing. And the building stuff kind of fell into my lap, if you will. It wasn't something that I was trying to do. It wasn't like I want to build this big organization. I need to, not really. I was actually fairly content and happy with being a good, like above average producer. I'm not like some of these guys that you see that write 5, 6, 700,000, but I was 325 to 375 every year on my own pen,
And that
net
was in the
income.
field, right?
Yeah, it was all face to face. I was working 6 days a week, had an appointment setter. Had a great system. I was 45 direct mail leads a week. And this is the good old days back when final expense direct mail in Ohio was like $27.
That's
Now
nutty.
it's
Yeah.
really double that. So, yeah, the good old days. So life was good. And then the building stuff kind of fell in my lap and we've, just grown ever since.
Yeah. So, dude, so talk through that a little bit because I think a lot of
Yeah.
people can resonate with that, right? The first year and a half is just an absolute struggle. It's tough. Like,
Yep.
what are some like talk through some of those moments that like kept you in? Like, what are some things that you actually had to do so you could just make ends meet to stay in the industry? And then also, what the second question, kind of following that up, is like, what kept you going and motivated in those times to keep like just stay in?
No, absolutely. Great question. So, what did I do to stay in? So, like I said, I would buy fire sticks for 40 or 45 bucks a piece and sell them for 65 to 70, depending on, where the market was at that point and on
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace. This is the good old days. We're talking 2015, 16 back then when you could do some stuff like that. I
Yeah.
still remember the day they took all my ads down on there and I was like, damn, I'm broke. I'm never
How
gonna
much were
make
you
money
spending on
again.
ads?
No ads. It was just they took it off a marketplace to where
Oh,
they
okay.
said it was
Yeah.
legal because
Yeah.
we were. I mean, transparently, I was putting all the apps on them that people could watch movies and stuff, and that's why
Yep.
we were getting when I was getting. But that's what genuinely, probably every night I could do three or four of them before I got too tired to go to bed, and I would sell those every day. Like I was literally out every day. But I knew insurance long term was obviously better. There's not a lot of residual incomes in fire sticks, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So I was just still excited about the idea that I'm going to make this work and it's going to work out, better than it is right now. And I mean, geez, what else? Donating
So,
blood,
were
like
you selling those after hours of selling insurance, or
yes,
did you
yeah.
just?
So I would go out my first door by 9 a.m. every day, last door by 8 a.m. So the winter time, those of you from the Midwest or Ohio and stuff, it gets dark at like 5:30. So my last door would be like 5:36. You don't want to, especially again, guys, I wasn't door knocking leads. I was door knocking strangers. So showing up at someone's house in the middle of the night is not great. So it was always after hours or before hours, depending on stuff. So I always try to stay in the gym too. So that was always a struggle. But like I gave that up my first couple of years. Like I gave up a bunch of stuff I truly enjoy to make some sort of success. And the fire stick thing helped, giving blood helped. Like I did everything I could to pay rent. My rent was $1,047. Never missed it, thank God, but was real close a lot of times. I went negative to get gas a lot of times too. So thank you. Shout out Chase for letting me go negative in my bank account to get gas to go to the field. Um, so yeah, I mean, did that stuff. And then like I said, I mean, I would consider I did fail basically. I was like, look, I ran out of things I could do. I ran out of people to see. It was just such a grind going door to door with no leads or anything. It just got difficult. So did my research. I went and did an interview at UPS, went back for the second round of interviews and just was in the car and was like, I can't do this. I can't work for somebody. I
Yeah.
don't know how this would work anymore. So broke down, got my life license and things went really well.
Yeah, so as a new agent, right? So if you're wanting to do health insurance or like what was the value in terms of like finding life insurance so that you can see that cash flow and getting into health insurance? Like how did that help you and kind of resurrect your journey as an agent?
Honestly, money. I mean, you go from 30% with a 6 month advance to 100, 115, 120 on a final expense deal that's $80 a month. I got paid more on $80 a month FE, $12,000 whole life than I did on a $400 a month cancer plan. Literally, I got paid more on that one deal. So that
That's
was it. It was
nuts.
it was a dollars and cents thing for me. I literally 4x my commission percentage. And the sale was similar. The product's different, obviously, but the sale's similar. The process is not all that different. So, and I come from the good old days where the Transamerica paper app was 42 pages and the Mutual Omaha, it wasn't an e-app. It was a paper app, a phone call. You had to write a number on the app and then fax it in. So I'm talking, the Stone Ages. So to me,
Yeah.
that stuff was like, oh, this is great. So, you know, but knowing both has been unbelievably beneficial as the agency and the team and the IMO has grown. Like being able to show people how to do both has been like a huge advantage and big blessing.
Yeah, so were you just doing final expense at that time? Like did you just very niche down at like for 2 to 3 years
Yep.
and then you okay. So I think that's really important for somebody because I think what I see a lot of times, and I fell into this as well. It's like you see all these people making money in like every avenue, PNC, health, Medicare, you like T65. under 65. Then you see final expense, term, mortgage protection, annuities. Like you see it all, advanced markets. And so it's super distracting, but like I think you like niching down into one thing is something that I really see a lot of value in as a new agent. So if you guys are an agent, I think there's a lot of value in just finding one product, getting really good at it, and then breaking out. What was kind of the turning point for you? Okay, so you're getting final expense, you're doing well. What happened then?
Yeah.
Like at that
So
point?
the agency started growing. So we went from 7 agents to about 700 in a week. We
How
had
did
some
that
MG.
happen?
So a couple of MGAs left, a captive company. They called me. For some reason, they saw my name from the Facebook groups and stuff back in the day, and reached out to me. I met with them a couple of different times, and they decided to work with me over the other groups they were interviewing. So then it was like drinking from a fire hose. It's like, okay, now I got to figure this out. All this stuff,
Yeah.
contracting, marketing, compliance, all these things. So dove into that head first. But with that being said, like all that growth just forced me to learn all these different things that again I had really like no knowledge about prior. So I'm learning all these things while still trying to sell. Because again, like I had some money in the bank, but I by no means was I wealthy. I just had some money in the bank from being a personal producer.
Yeah.
So you kind of understand the expenses of the agency side, the growth, all those things. And then, we had a good run there as a field kind of boutique style final expense face-to-face agency. We expanded that to phone sales because COVID happened. We existed and thrived through COVID. So we went to telesales and introduced programs for that. And then a year after that, we introduced Medicare because of the rising costs of marketing for life and final expense, the just
Yeah.
difficulty to get in front of clients, and then the competitive nature of it. There's everybody and their mom sells final expense now. It seems like Medicare kind of protects you from kind of those bad actors that are out there and gets you in front of clients and forces people to be compliant, which is a good thing. So yeah, we introduced that, and we still really are big on helping those Medicare clients with their final expenses and with their life insurance and those types of things. But that's been a huge transition we've made over the last probably 48 months, or 24, 36 months realistically. And it's been a great transition for us as well as our team.
Yeah. So that's really good, dude. Getting like in that spot and I mean, dude, like 700 agents, that's like, dude, nutty in one week, just like absolutely blowing up.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of like as a like a business owner, what's kind of your mindset in terms of investing in your business and yourself?
Yeah, I think everybody's is a little different depending on their ability to, withstand risk or understand risk and understand what the payout is at the end of the day. But that's all I've really ever invested in outside of just recently real estate. But the first 6 years of this, it was literally every dime. And then money I really didn't even have sometimes. That's all it did. It went back into this. That's why we have lead programs and we have a mail house that I own. Like all the money that's been spent has been back into this 99% of the time. And it's exciting because it's like you're building value, even if it doesn't net you, you put $1 in, you get six out tomorrow. That's the beauty of being a salesperson in insurance is you can literally do that. You can put
Yeah.
$100 and go write a $1,000 policy and you 10x your money in 24 hours. And the agency side, it doesn't really work like that. I might put 100 grand into a mail house or 150 grand into a inbound transfer platform that we just introduced to own it. I'm never going to make money on that, but I'll make money on distribution, on bringing on, $1 million a month team or $500,000 a month team. So it's just a matter of understanding that a lot of the investments you make on the agency side of the business are going to be longer term investments and having the stomach for that. The blessing I have is that everything kind of started early and I'm still pretty young. So having that on my side is definitely helpful. But understanding the nuances and the differences in your investments in the industry and in your business are helpful. Again,
Yeah.
I've by no means have been perfect. I've learned the hard way. I've invested in stuff that completely was a waste of money, but I've also invested in things that I thought would be a waste of money that have been great. So it's never a
Yeah.
you know, perfect thing.
Yeah. What like why would what did you see in investing in yourself and investing in your business? Like, what was kind of the long-term thing that you saw? Because I think it's easy to be like, dude, you need to diversify your stocks or you need to like
Mhm.
invest into stocks. I mean, crypto nowadays, you like you name it. But like, what did you see? Because obviously now it's like the money that you've made on those investments is probably way more. way better than anything you could have gotten as far as return and anything else. But
Yep.
like, what did you see, or what's kind of the vision that you saw in investing in yourself, and like, why was that so important to you at that time and still now?
Sure. So for me, I thankfully had seen what it could do for an individual by just doing it. So I looked at it as I'm investing in something that I can control to an extent, that I can actively participate in, that I understand. So instead of investing in something that that can make me money, just dollars and cents, it was more than that. It was like, I know these people. I know that this dollar is going to help an agent provide for their family and then protect a family on the other side. So that meant more to me. The people meant more to me than just the
Yeah,
dollars and cents of it. And again, it's something that I understand. Like from an agent perspective, I still produce and I'll never stop just
yeah,
because you stop doing that, you really lose touch and lose base with the people that are putting in the work every day. So just understanding the people that could be affected by that investment. It was less about like, yeah, there's certainly other things I could have invested in if I would have spent the time I spent on this, like crypto when it boomed, like everybody made money. I didn't, I mean, I made some, but not a ton, like some people did. And just because I was invested in this, but over the long haul, over the next 30, 50 years, like I don't plan on getting out. So it isn't something where I'm like, I'm selling tomorrow. I'll see you guys in 30 years. I'll be on the beach. Like that's not really me. It's not what I want. Like I enjoy this stuff too much. So for me, it was just a matter of, selfishly, like I get to participate in this investment. It's not just me throwing money and down the drain. And I also understand like where the money is going. I can dictate a lot of things and predicate
yeah.
it on my knowledge of everything.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like I put $10 into like a March Madness bracket, and I was like, dude, it was tough because I'm like, I can't control any of this, dude. Like, yeah,
Yep.
I can choose the teams, but it's out of my control. And so I think it's funny when you really own your business. I think it's different because you can physically, at the end of the day, if you lose money, that's on you. And I think it's there's something satisfying knowing that, hey, at the end of the day, it's my fault. If I lose money, it's cool. At least I had something to do with it, and I can learn from that, big time. So you work out like every day, which is awesome, dude. How has that played like into your business and like the personal development side, I think, of the business, or just like just your personal development? How has that helped you become a better business owner and a better entrepreneur and a better insurance agent?
For sure. I mean, physical fitness, athletics have always been really important to me. That's first and foremost. That's the one thing I'm probably more passionate about than insurance or, my business per se.
Yeah.
So that's an easy thing for me. Like to me, the gym isn't something I've got to do. I get excited. I get pumped up about the gym. That's my reprieve from everyone and all the crap I don't want to deal with. So I'm a little different in that regard. And I wouldn't say than everybody. There's a lot of people that love the gym, but just for
Did you
me
always love the gym?
personally, I always have. There's never been a time in my life where I didn't like doing things physically. I like physical activity. It's enjoyable for me. The challenge of it's enjoyable. So for obvious reasons, it does translate well into insurance, into business, into sales. Just wanting to challenge yourself, wanting to see progress just over time.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of ex-military and ex-athletes do really well in this space. Is it's just that the idea that you enjoy that challenge, and that's what it is for me. It's just me versus me. It's not me trying to compare to anyone. Everybody's in different stages of everything. So for me, the fitness stuff and working out every day, like that's easy. That's
Yeah.
what I like to do. That's
Yeah.
a hobby for me. So I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's fun, it's enjoyable. It's like I think the addiction of progress, like once you get to that spot where it's like the money's cool, the progress is like the looking better is cool. But I think when you get to the spot where you're just addicted to the progress, I think, and you're able to extend your time horizon and you're able to like really look at like a 10, 20, 30 years, like what if I do this every single day, there's no reason
Mhm.
like I don't get better and get way better to
Exactly.
where I'm at,
Exactly.
which is really cool, and that's where you essentially like hack the game. But
Yep.
so how has like personal development though helped you as an insurance agent and business owner?
I mean, it helps every day. It helps get you back on track if you're feeling whatever, if you're feeling like reacting based off how you feel. It just puts you in a place where you have to be consistent because that personally developing on anything for me it's been tapping back into religion more over the last couple of years. It's not been a perfect journey by any means, but just being cognizant of that and getting tapped back into reading scripture and understanding that, there's a lot of, it's the most important thing. Like, it's not all this stuff, that we're working towards and how hard we work and the image that you try to, portray of yourself and how important you think you are to you and everyone else. Like, that stuff's cool, whatever, but it's pretty irrelevant. You
Yeah.
have to understand that there's a lot more to this than just your physical self and what you're doing here. So to me, that's what personal development is. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great, you know, podcasts, a lot of incredible stuff, but it all kind of is rooted in, in faith in some regard, regardless of what people's faith is. And just getting tapped back into that. I think that's the utmost of any kind of personal development you could ever practice or preach.
Yeah, 100%. And I appreciate you in terms of that. I think I like just seeing your different stories. It's funny because we're very similar in a lot of ways in that regard, like working out and the faith aspect and Christianity, which is really cool. And you're not afraid of showing that. As a new insurance agent, man, like if you were to give advice to somebody like you that was like, dude, almost struggling out of the business, almost like quitting, not
Mhm.
even paying rent, like people that are struggling in this industry, not making the money that they want. Like what would some like words of wisdom be seeing the other side of those struggles?
Absolutely. So number one is, first things first, look internally. So, like, don't lie to yourself. Don't sit around and like sulk and say it's like this person's fault or that person's fault or this system or that or whatever. The only like you have to realistically be able to sit with yourself and have the conversation internally that I've put everything I can into this and I'm still failing. Why is that?
Yeah.
If you're not actually putting everything you can, I mean, working not 9 to 5, I mean 9 to 9, not, not putting in normal effort, you're putting in extraordinary effort and you're still failing financially. If that's the case, then look for other systems and other things. There's so much information available now. Like, it's abundant. I mean, you go on Facebook and type in life insurance or, health insurance, and there's a zillion things you can read. Just like anything else, just read and pay attention. Take some time, read, pay attention, figure out if it's the system that you're in. If it is, try something else. Like, don't like there's a
Yeah.
thousand systems. A lot of people have the same carriers, the same, whatever, but everybody's system's a little bit different. And maybe it isn't the system for you that you're in right now. If you make a transition, it might work for you. But again, it all starts with self accountability and realizing, like, if you're doing great, it's your fault. If you're doing bad, it's still your fault. So, like, figure out what you're either doing or not doing, and then figure out if it's a system thing, and then just push forward. Just look for the next thing.
Yeah, how do you take emotions out of the business? Because I think that's another thing, bro. It's like when I was just getting in the business, you're led by your emotions, but how do you
Yeah.
dissociate that from the outcome?
Well, the number one way too is, subconsciously being so busy you can't be emotional. But the
That's
second
good.
way, if you're not that busy, is by literally asking yourself, am I being emotional? Am I reacting off of my emotions?
That's good.
And think about the last time you did that and what happened.
It's huge.
Because reacting on your emotions, all it does is relinquish any control you have of the situation.
Yeah. I like that. And so you let's talk about that a little bit, like being so busy that you can't be emotional. Like what should if somebody's just wanting to solo produce
Mhm.
and just make money selling either life insurance, health, whatever it is, right? It doesn't really matter. Just sell a ton of insurance.
Yep.
What does like a top producer's schedule look like for you and people? Like what's that look like for you guys?
Sure. So, it can vary. So I can do phones and field. So field people at minimum, you're 4 or 5 days. Now, again, my first year I was 7 days a week. My
Mhm.
next 4 years were 6 days a week religiously. Like, I worked Monday through Saturday all the time. That last year, right before we started growing pretty big, I would go every other Saturday and door knock the leads that didn't answer, no showed, whatever. So at minimum 4 or 5 days a week. Really, it should be 5 or 6 your first year to build up some cash flow and build up some, resiliency and resistance to any kind of chargebacks and things. On the phones, same thing, but it's more so a time thing on the phones. So I don't mean time sitting in front of your computer. I mean time dialing.
Yeah.
You should be dialing, 6, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week at minimum. If you're doing inbounds, there's different criteria there. I mean, we're not going to go into all that, but just you're in front of the computer, you're talking to people uh, consistently for 5 or 6 days a week. That's year one, and then moving forward, you can scale that back a bit if you've built some residuals and that type of thing.
When's the
But
right time to start building? do you think?
After you've produced at a decent level on the side you want to build on for at least 6 to 12 months, and you've found a home or partnership or someone in your hierarchy that can help support it as well, and you're financially in a place to take, any kind of risk. So anybody you sign off on, especially on the life side, is a risk inherently. Any debt they have, that's your debt, because an advance is just that. It's an advance. So it's a loan. If they bug out and have free chargebacks and never get back in the industry, well, that loan, now you got to pay that back. You may have made 15% override. They made 120%. Now, shoot, I'm paying back 120% plus the 15. So not only did you not make your override, you lost all the money they made too that you weren't paid. So, um, it can be risky, and you have to be in a financial position to be able to, withstand that risk so that you don't go out of business or go bankrupt.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
important.
producing at a high level on the side you want to grow on, whether it be Medicare, ACA, life, and then having the financial means to do so.
Yeah, so I ideally like most people like your situation is a little bit different in regards to like just getting a ton of agents and building those partnerships that you just exploded. But like if somebody's wanting to go back and grassroots, like just build a business like that you've done, how would you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, and I tell anybody this, if everybody just left today and everything was a blank slate, clean slate, restart, I would go the LOA route where leads were covered for my people. We would build 5 to 10 man teams in each kind of geographical region. So I'm an Ohio guy, so I'd do like a Columbus team, a Cleveland team, a Cincinnati team, a Toledo team. And then we would just build 5 to 10. It'd be direct mail leads. They would go work Medicare and cross sell life all day long. It takes all the headaches out of the business for people. They don't have to worry about leads. They're being trained by people. They're all geographically close. So if there's issues, they can meet up at any time. They're not having to call a guy in San Diego and they're in Columbus. It just solves a lot of those issues, and they're able to still make really good money. The agreement, they would be LLA, but they would own the book of business. It'd be an agreement. It'd be real straightforward, no 37-page Bible they have to sign, and just keeping it simple. So some of the things I've learned just over, again, building these distributions, mostly on the brokerage side, is that the LOA distribution, people don't like it. And I get it. You don't like, oh man, I'm signing my book over to someone. If you're brand new, especially if you're a captive, your book's already signed over to someone. You have a 5 or 10 or 20-year investment window already, and you don't own it to begin with. In the brokerage side, it can be in the agreement that you own it. So you own it, you get free leads, you get mentorship, you get training, and the cash flow for the company is going to be way greater. So you can withstand some of those chargebacks and debts and things. So that's how I would rebuild it. I mean, a 100-man LLA team is going to net and have a close revenue to a 3,000 brokerage team, which is crazy to say, but you just have a lot more control.
It seems like a lot more people, because this is when I build an agency, that's the route we're gonna go down. But like, why do you think that is? Like, I think I feel like, and I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like there's so many more LOAs as my camera just died. It seems like there's so many more LOAs coming out of like just everywhere of
Yeah,
like a lot more people building those. Why do you think that is? Or
I
what are
think
you seeing?
there's ebbs and flows and everything, right? So I think the industry, had all their systems, had their LLA distributions, had their IMOs that were building that way. And then the opposite happened where people came out offering big comps. You get this, you get that, et cetera, with the sexy stuff. Like, we'll get everybody. And they did, they grew. Issue with that is they grew and now the debt's hitting. And they see the debt and they're like, dang, okay, well, maybe this is why that person had it set up like that in the first place. So we're just getting back. It's just like politics. You go far left, far right, far left, far right, and somewhere in between, and somewhere, so it's the same thing with this stuff. Like, you can abuse any model, and sometimes they just get stretched too thin. But the problem is, eventually, everyone learns and sees what the true colors are.
Yeah. So as like if you were wanting to build a really profitable business, would you like going back, would go more down the LOA route rather than like the broker model?
Yeah, I mean, we would still have both, and we're going to continue to have both. We currently have a pretty large LLA model that we're building and growing, and we obviously are going to continue growing the broker model. I just would start with the LLA model to begin now, instead of going after distribution first, just for numbers, because a 5 point spread on $1 million a month team is less money than a 35 point spread on that LLA distribution doing 300 grand a month. You just need less volume. You're able to focus on the relationships more than just the numbers, which is
Yeah.
better all in all. just creates longevity and a better overall feel and relationship with those people. So that's just a personal preference. Not saying it's better or worse. The L or the brokerage model is not going anywhere, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up in, and that's my favorite one. It's just more
100%.
and more it becomes evident that people are incapable of running a business, although they think they are.
Yeah. Dude, so you worked with a ton of agents. What
Yeah.
are some characteristics that really successful like A players have that other people don't, or that those specifically have that other people might be able to see like, okay, this is where an area I can grow in.
Yep. Number one's accountability. Are they willing to be accountable to themselves and be honest with you about that? Number two is the willingness to not just do the bare minimum. So I don't mean like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go knock on 10 doors today. No, like, or if you have 5 appointments, you're after your appointments, you're done. Especially your first year, like you have to go knock, you have to go talk to people, you have to do the
Yeah.
stuff that you're like, I don't really want to do that. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you'll be done. We can basically promise you, especially with the climate of the industry right now. So doing more than just bare minimum. And then the ability to invest in your business. Now, it could mean a million different things. Like I said, I'm on the LLA side, it's investing time. On the brokerage side, it's investing actual money. Like if you don't have money to invest on leads, on consistency, you better damn well have some kind of like magic system. And I can tell you this, there isn't one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you, like I'm not a lead peddler by no means. Some of these guys sell these shitty leads for whatever amount, and it's like that's stupid. But
Yeah.
you got to buy something to talk to somebody that's interested in your product. Because if you don't have that, you're done. Like unfortunately, you just are. So you have to be able to invest. So being accountable, that's the biggest one. Like if you don't have money to invest, if you're accountable and you work hard, you can go cold door knock T65 people and make enough money to not die. Working your butt off, but you can still do it. There's a lot of people that do it and do well. So there's ways to do things differently. However, it's just you have to be able to do those things, be accountable, be willing to invest, and be willing to do more than the bare minimum. Don't just do a little bit, do as much of it as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah. Dude, that's really important. And so if somebody's like producing at a really high level, right, life or Medicare, whatever it is, and they might want to go to the other one, like would you recommend them go start cross-selling, or would you start recommending them start really going out and building a team?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I would recommend them cross-selling, but it depends on where they're coming from. So if they're a life agent that has a book of business, go talk to all your clients first to learn the game. If you're a Medicare agent wanting to introduce life, either find some mentorship, find an agency to plug into to help you train on how to cross-sell. And then
Yeah.
if you want to build an agency, great, do it. I mean, I'm not saying don't build an agency, but I mean, if you're a final expense and you're killing it, build an FE agency, great. But if I wouldn't bring people in and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to help you with Medicare," when you've never even written a Medicare app, that would be pretty disingenuous. Unless again, your partnership or who you're working with can help you with that.
Yeah. How do you how are you guys like recruiting at such a high scale now?
Honestly, that's the thing. Like for me personally, and it's difficult for me to train or tell people how to do it because it's been all word of mouth. Like I've never once been like, "Hey, you want to come work with us?" Like that's just not who I am. I'm not even a good recruiter. It's just people reach out and I'm like, "This is what we got. If you like it, great. If you don't, no problem, man. Like good luck." And it is what it is. That's for me. Now, our agencies are doing a really good job with a lot of different things. We have our internal marketing teams that generate recruiting, conversations, appointments, leads, and things like that. And our agencies across the country are doing great with that, converting those. So it's a blend of stuff. But for what I'm doing, I'm not really doing anything. We're just working, and people are noticing, and they reach out.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. I guess as we wrap up here, man, um, for somebody like really wanting to get to the level you're at, because I think when I hear, but other people could probably relate, like hearing a 5,000 person and agency and having like that many people and like building that like a massive empire, dude. Like if somebody were to want to get to a similar level or a level like you, like what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, I mean, be careful what you wish for, and I'll say that first. It's a lot more political and a lot of different conversations than you probably think. But even then, I would just say figure out, where the end game is for you before you even start. That's the thing I didn't do. I'm grateful I didn't because it did keep my head down working, but I was just kind of working. Like, I don't want to say aimlessly, but I was just doing the next task without really any kind of like, oh, this is the end, this is the end game. I know it now. And if I would have known what I know now about that, things would have looked much differently. But again, figure that out first. Don't just get it all, starry eyed and think I'm going to recruit everybody and things are going to go so good. And even more than ever, you have to do your research before you even start recruiting because you don't want to be the guy or the girl who's putting, I'll get, this level with this carrier on a Facebook group, or you don't want to be the guy or girl DMing people that you want to work with them. And it's not a good look. And I understand the drive to do it, but it's just not a good look and it doesn't really work. So, um, attaching yourself to people that can help mentor you on how to grow is also important. So just be careful is the biggest advice I can give you is be careful. And, if you have the ambition to be that, have that many agents, be that big, that's great. But do it intelligently. Understand that things take time. It doesn't just happen in a night, in a week, in a month, in 5 years. It takes time and resources, effort, money, and just to use that ambition to continue producing as well. Like
Yeah.
it all starts with being a good producer. As crazy as that is, this all starts with knowing how to do it yourself.
Yeah. That's really good, man. Where can people reach out to you, man? And if they want to work with you or get more information about that?
Absolutely, yeah. They can reach me pretty much any social media. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We've got some stuff going on there. It's all either under United Insurance Professionals or Waylon R Trip. It's my first and last name. You guys can message me on there anytime. My number should be on there as well, so you guys can text me, reach out as well. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you. If you guys haven't already, subscribed to the channel right now. Share this with a friend if you found it valuable, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.